All right.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hector Dominguez. I am here on behalf of the Cook County Assessor's Office. With us tonight, we do have the Cook County Assessor himself, Fritz Kaedi. Also, we have Alderman Cardenas. They are going to be here with us tonight. They are our special guests. We do want to take a couple seconds, give some house rules very quickly. We're going to have a nice presentation. If you have a question, you don't have to wait until the very end to do this. You can go ahead and write these questions right in the comment section. Our team is available to answer these, and we will be also available later to do a Q&A live right here for you guys. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, so make sure you follow us there. I know that the Alderman has his page going right now. The Assessor has our page going right now. This is a party. We want to thank you guys for being here. You literally could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us, so thank you. I don't want to take up any more time from anyone who is here to speak tonight, so we'll just pass it on. Assessor Kaedi, there you go, sir.
All right, Hector. Well, thank you. And it's so good to be here with Alderman Cardenas and all of his constituents. And if you don't live in Alderman Cardenas's ward, welcome as well. And we really appreciate you being here on a night when you could be doing anything in the great city of Chicago. And I hope you all are out there being safe. So grab a sandwich, get a nice drink, and enjoy us here. We're going to try to give you some good information you can use tonight. And I want to give you two flavors of things. So as good as citizens, I think there are two useful things that you can leave with tonight. One is with a better sense of how you fit into the larger system, how it works, and why you should be paying attention to some other things that don't relate to the value of your home or property, but relate to others, because we're all in the same boat when it comes to dividing up the property tax levies that are out there, which are a lump sum of dollars that we use assessments to divide up amongst ourselves with. So we do assessments to divide up the cost of government. And so how other people are assessed affects you. So I just want to give you a sense of what we're doing to make that system be fair overall in the aggregate for everyone. And then the second piece is really the part that Hector is going to drive on our team. And he's going to show you how you can navigate this system yourself and best advocate for yourself to get all the benefits that you're entitled to within the system. So, but both of those things are important, and I like to do these workshops because I want to help you become a better citizen, to understand the system, how it works, and why you got to think a little bit more than about your own assessment, because how other people are assessed affects you. So why don't we talk about the assessments we just sent out? So we sent out assessments to what we call a West Chicago Township. It's West Township. This is a geographic term of convenience that covers a big swath of the city. I grew up in Chicago in the South Side, and I don't think there's any other part of the city that's been more transformed since when I grew up in the 80s than this part of Chicago. It is it's Chicago, west of the river, south of North Avenue. It goes up a little bit north to Fullerton in parts. That's not the part that's Alderman Cardenas's ward. The southern part of West Township goes all the way down in parts to Pershing, but it's west of the river. And some of it is in Alderman Cardenas's ward. I know some of Alderman Cardenas's ward is in other townships, but for the purposes of everyone here, let's look at the information that we sent out for West Township, which is so diverse. It includes the booming areas of Fulton Market in the West Loop, also includes Pilsen, Bucktown, Westtown, also includes Humboldt Park, East and West Garfield Park, Austin, North Lawndale, Pilsen, and other parts. So it's in Little Village, it's extremely diverse. Very different communities, and we want to make sure that our assessments reflect that diversity, reflect that very different environment and very different neighborhoods. So that's the first thing to know. Our assessments are supposed to be a mirror to the market out there, to the world out there. And when it's very diverse and very different, we want to make sure that we're reflecting that difference in our assessments, not treating everyone the same. So let's go to the slide. We can show you some results from our assessment and some basic principles that we use in that. So if we go to the next slide, Here is a sense of where the larger data is for the West Township. So in the overall township, we saw assessed value rise 25% for residential value. That's the strong performance of housing that we saw last year. That's also what we've seen happening over the last 3 years. It also includes new construction. But we have commercial going up even more, a little bit more than doubling. That's because of a lot of this new construction activity happening in Fulton Market, but also in other parts of this part of the city where we've seen new construction, new development happening in many different parts. We also saw undervaluation of some kinds of commercial property under the previous assessor, and we're trying to close that gap. We're trying to close that disparity so that everyone is reflecting where market prices are and everyone's only paying their fair share. In total, the value of property rose 65% in this part of the city. That's quite a big increase, and it reflects, I think, the really great amount of development and activity and uplift in the market that's happening in this part of the city. Now, the key thing to remember is that everyone's assessment's interconnected. If your assessment goes up, your property tax bill is not going to change by the same amount because your property tax bill depends on how other people are assessed too. It's your share of the total assessed value in the city that determines your share of a fixed amount that we have to collect in taxes every year. It's about $9 billion in Chicago, and we divide it by the total size of the base. When the total size of the assessed value base grows, the rate can come down. And if your property hasn't changed much in value, but the base has changed a lot, then your share of that levy declines. And your bill can go down even if your assessment is flat or even if it goes up. So sometimes it's really helpful to remember that a change in your assessment does not mean a change in the taxes. So you should always compare how your assessment changed versus how the total value of the base is changing. And here, the total value of the base changed 65% in this part of the city. The picture is not yet complete. We're going to be assessing other parts of the city too. When we look to other neighborhoods, we're a little bit more than a quarter of the way through assessing the city and continue to follow it to see what the trends are. But I think this basic trend here is following a trend that we saw elsewhere where we're seeing commercial growing more than residential for several different reasons. And therefore, residential share of the total tax base is shrinking. And so just keep paying attention and keep following it. But what you can do as a citizen is make sure that you are assessed correctly in line with the market. That's like one of the best tests for if we got your assessment right. Here's a little bit of a sense for how values have changed in this part of the city over the last 3 years. If you look at 2017, you can see that the average value of a home, and this is across this a very big swath of the city, so it may not represent exactly what's going on in your ward, Alderman Cardenas, but the average home across the whole this part of the city was $270,000. That was the average purchase, and it rose to $440,000 last year. So it's rising a lot across the township on average, but in each neighborhood, it's very different. So we look at what's going on within each neighborhood, within each actually even narrower pattern of just a couple square blocks to see if that may affect your house differently from what's going on in the rest of the township. So the key thing, again, to remember is how have we assessed the value of your home? Is it in line with where you think the market is or not? You know more about your home than we do. We are about 250 people valuing close to 2 million properties. And so we are using models to try to estimate the value of properties, but sometimes we can make mistakes because there are things that we don't know. And so that's why it's important for you to check to make sure that we're estimating the value of your property correctly. So we can go to the next slide. Here, this is basically how we are trying to make sure that we are assessing everyone in the same way, regardless of the value of someone's home. What we don't want to do is have any biases in the way we value properties. In the past, there was a tendency for cheaper properties to tend to be more overassessed, and for the highest end properties to tend to be a little bit underassessed. So you can see that on the left here, 1.83. So maybe 80% overassessed in past experiences in this part of the city. In the last reassessment for the bottom third of properties, maybe 10% under-assessed for the highest end properties. And so that should not be happening. So this year we've tested our models against past transactions, and we're getting it much closer to the line. So at bottom third, top third, medium third of the market, the model is not experiencing any systematic bias. There's still a little bit on the bottom end. We think that might be because of what's going on inside people's houses, which we cannot see. The bottom third of homes oftentimes have less renovation going on. They might not have been renovated for a long time, and we can't see that in our data, and that can affect the resale value of homes. So we're trying to get better at that. You can help us in the appeals process by helping show us the conditions inside your home if they haven't been renovated. That's one of the reasons why it could lead to overassessment by us of your home. So this is why we have the appeals process. So we can go to the next slide. Here, this is giving you a sense for how the tax base is changing in this part of the city. You'll remember I mentioned that it doesn't matter how you're assessed alone, but really what matters is how you're assessed compared to the total assessed value in the city. And in this part of the city in West Chicago, you can see that with our reassessment, homeowners' share of assessed value is declining from 54% to 40%. That's despite the fact that assessments rose. But this is really the key part of the picture that's still being filled in for what are homeowners' share of the total amount of tax that has to be paid every year. And this is a pattern that we've seen in our reassessment the last 2 years, is that as we're making sure we're closing the disparities and realigning commercial values with the market, that's reducing homeowners' share of property taxes a little bit. The story is not over because we have to hear your appeals from all property owners. There's a whole other round of appeals done at another level of government called the Board of Review, and we have to reassess the rest of the city. So there's still lots of parts of the picture to be filled in yet, but this is one part that's being filled in here. Going to the next slide, we have a whole bunch of data that you can look at to find out what's going on in your neighborhood, to look at the transactions that we used in coming up with your values for your home and others nearby. In this part of Chicago, up in the first line here, you can see there are 26,000 single-family homes, and 1,000 of them sold in 2020. You can see the price range that was paid for those homes. Then as you go into the second line, that's the number of 2 to 6 flats that you can see. There were 1,100 of those homes sold, and you can see the price ranges there. And then at the bottom, you can see that there are about 36,000 condo units, of which 1,700 sold in 2020. And we look at those sales to basically figure out, okay, what about the homes that didn't sell in the last few years? How would we value them? And so that's how our model works. You can get a lot more by taking that assessment notice that you have, looking at your neighborhood code, and then you can go right into this website, to the site here at cookcountyassessor.com, and see what kind of sales were in your neighborhood. Okay, we can go to the next slide now. So just a reminder, and I'm about to hand it off to Hector, where he's going to give you, we're going to go to the part of the presentation where this is how you can navigate this big system. I just told you a little bit about how the big system works, but now we're going to get to the part where we tell you how to navigate and advocate for yourself. Remember that we are less than 250 people trying to value close to 2 million properties, 1.9 million properties, using the data that we have about homes and the sales of homes that have happened. And then we try to use that maybe 15% of the market that's sold in the last 3 years to figure out, well, how would the market value the other 85% that didn't sell? So we use this mass appraisal model to do that. But the key is, do we have good data going into our model? And what we always have to remember when we're walking humbly is that you know more about your home than we do. Homeowners know more about their homes than we do. And sometimes we're not capturing all the information that we need to get a picture of the value. And sometimes the information that we think we know about a home can be wrong, and we want to make sure that's right. So that's where we come to the appeals process. The way you can see if we're getting things right for you is, has the value of the home that we've estimated match with what you think you could sell your home for? So Hector, I want to hand it off to you. Everyone, remember this exemptions part here at the bottom. There's a whole other group of benefits that you can get where you can cut some of the assessed value off of your home and for tax purposes by getting these exemptions. And Hector's going to tell you about those, which are really one of the best things that homeowners out there can do to reduce their taxes. So Hector, take it away.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, boss. But before I continue, Alderman Cardenas, I know that you had a couple words you wanted to share as well. You want to do that right now?
It's good a time as any. I think that the assessor, Fritz Kaedi, did a phenomenal job in trying to explain the nuances of assessments and the fact that it isn't always 100% correct just because of the complexity of the system. But it doesn't mean that you have to accept what's put before you. You have a process of trying to correct that if you think that a mistake was done in your assessment. And really, the gist of this education is for you to understand the process and for you to know that it's important for you to appeal your assessments. And if you're a homeowner, but also if you're a renter, and a lot of people kind of forget about that. If the assessment goes unchecked, and the owner, for whatever reason, doesn't react to the assessment, whether it's correct or not correct, and the assessment ends up in higher property taxes, it's going to end up also affecting the renters because they will end up also paying higher rents. So we want everybody to understand that it's a team effort. So if you're a renter and if you know the owner well, urge him to also look at the assessments and make sure that they appeal properly. Right now, as the assessor mentioned, the West Township, it's open, and you should appeal, and I believe the date is before August 23rd. So August 23rd is the day that you have until to be able to appeal your assessment before the assessor. So please do that. And again, this, what I call a seminar or this presentation, it's really geared towards trying to explain to you that all is not lost, that you have definitely an avenue to contest an assessment that you think may be wrong. And on my side of the town, and adjacent to my side of the town, which is Pilsen, right next to north of the ward, which is a little village, West Pilsen, things have changed dramatically. And so the property tax assessments have gone up roughly about 200%, but that's because there's a lot of activity in the area. A lot of improvements have been done to properties. But your property may not have been improved. And so therefore the assessment that you're getting could be questioned, because you could really give data to the assessor, as he mentioned, the fact that he doesn't know the condition of your property, only you know it. And so please give that data to the assessor so they can ascertain whether that assessment is correct or not. It's important for you to know that because people come to my office all the time and to tell me that, look, my property taxes went up, but I haven't done anything to my home. My home is the same. Has not changed a thing. And I appreciate that you believe that my house is worth a ton of money. But believe you me, that doesn't help me any when I got to pay higher property taxes because I don't plan on moving out. I don't plan on moving out, and you may think my house is worth $500,000. I thank you, but that's what I call an unrealized gain. I'm now selling, but what is being impacted is the property taxes that I got to pay because you think that my house is worth a lot of money. And that's the gist of it. I tell you that is because it's so true for so many elder folks, like my mom. I think my mom's a good example. My mom owns a nice building. She bought it back in '82. And so a lot of folks think this is worth a lot of money. And it may be good intentions, but she has no plans on selling. But the property taxes that she's got to pay obviously are for her a problem. And for many homeowners is the same thing. So again, it's all has to be under equity. It's got to be equitable. But for you to sit back and not do anything, it doesn't make any sense either. So that's really the gist of what I wanted to say. And I'll close with this. Again, the West Township is open. My ward, there's also the South Township and the Lake Township. And we can explain later on what the township means and how is that broken up. But for now, what's important for you to know, even if you are not part of my township, understand that look for these dates where your particular township, it's going to be open for you to appeal your property assessment and do that. And there's another thing before I close. You do not have to hire an attorney. You can appeal your assessments online for as little as 20 minutes. You can do it online, and hopefully we can walk you through how that's done, right? And you got time still. And I want to thank, obviously, the assessor's team for a lively conversation, for being so energetic and just with all the good intentions of educating my community, which I appreciate that very much. So thank you for the transparency of it. Let's continue the presentation.
Well, thanks, Alderman Cardenas, and you saved me there because I put the cart before the horse. I think this is one of these things that happens in Zoom. It might not have happened personally. You could have said, "Hey, I wanted to speak for." So
no. Listen, I think, and the reason, no, it's a team effort, as you know.
Yeah.
The main thing is for people to hear from the horse's mouth, which is the assessor, and what the process is. And for me, it's to say, look, come by me if you need help.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to help you. Wherever you live, you live nearby, even if you not live in the 12th ward. But if you feel somehow that we can help you, my thing is to help people out. So come by me. You have my Twitter handle. You have my information. And if you don't understand it, we'll walk you through it. It's really that simple. And if you're listening and your dad or your mom or somebody that you know owns property, alert them. Ask them if they received the assessment, because education is so key to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, you have so many properties in so little time. There's no way to get to everybody.
Yep. Well, that's such a great build-up, Alderman. So Hector, I think you could give some folks some information they can use that can help them follow through on what Alderman Cardenas was talking about.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, guys. So to keep this as concise and simple as possible, for the sake of time, because I do want to get to the Q&As, I'm going to do this a little bit different tonight. So filing an online appeal, just like it was stated earlier, super easy process, guys. We literally took the paper application, digitized it, allowed it to be online. This is the second year we're doing that so that things could be easier for everyone involved. Doing this, it's super free. You don't have to pay for anything. You have every right to pay someone if you want to, but you don't have to. Only thing you need is a valid email address. Just make sure your email address works. You do have a 30-day window. You guys, your deadline is August 23rd. So you have to appeal before then. And you would do that. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But please keep in mind, you can do this right now. You don't have to turn in your appeal right now. You can edit your appeal. You can clean it up. You can add attachments to it. One question we always get is, do I have to, this actually came up in a meeting earlier, do I have to provide comparable properties? The answer is no. We understand that that's something you might want to do. So we're going to show you how to do that as well, but that is not necessary. Our office will provide that for you, but we do have a brand new comparable feature that is finally here for everyone to use. So we're going to get into that right now. A question we always receive is, sorry, I didn't mean to shake the camera. A question that we always receive is, if I file an appeal, what's going to happen to my tax bill? Guys, there is absolutely no way to guesstimate what your tax bill is going to be, right? It's impossible. If anyone tells you they can, they're not being truthful. It is impossible. There are many different features or variables involved in this calculation. But here's what I can tell you. If you filed an appeal and you receive a reduction, that reduction will be reflected on next year's tax bill, second installment. This appeal that we're doing right now is the 2021 appeal. The tax bill you're about to receive from the treasurer's office is from the 2020 tax year. So the appeal you're doing right now has absolutely nothing to do with the tax bill you're about to receive. I want to make that very clear. There are many different reasons why a taxpayer would file an appeal, but I'm going to go over the three most common. The first one is lack of uniformity. That means me and you live on the same block, house built by the same person, same size, same color, same car, same everything, but for whatever reason, my value is different than yours, which probably means my tax bill is greater than yours, and I want to know why our values are not the same. That's what uniform means. The second reason was alluded earlier by the Alderman, but it's overvaluation. Guys, there's no way my house is worth this much. I'm glad you think my home is worth this much, but that is not the case. And the next one is incorrect property description, also known as property description error. That means there is a factual error, not an opinionated error, a factual error. Like our office says you have 2,400 square feet for your property. However, you really have 1,200 square feet. Or our office says you have a building with 6 apartments or less, but you really have a single family home, right? There is a factual error. A couple of different things affect your tax bill. All this was already mentioned earlier, but the first is your assessment, the value of your home, your exemptions, which are the discounts, which is something we're going to talk about in a second, your local township tax rate, and the levies in your area. Number 3 and 4 go together. I'm going to explain that in a second. And then the total assessed value of your city or your town, just like the assessor said earlier. So now, what are exemptions? Exemptions are discounts. We're going to keep it super simple, guys. I'm not into confusing folks. That's not what I want to do. Exemptions are discounts. They are discounts that you receive on your second installment tax bill. You have the homeowner exemption. That's for anyone who owned and occupied their property January 1 of that year. So if we're talking about the tax bill that's about to come out, you must have owned and occupied your property January 1 of 2020. The next one is senior citizen. That one is similar to the homeowner, but there's an age requirement. You must have been born in 1955 or before. Anything after, you just have to wait until you can qualify. The senior freeze is super similar, except now there's an income cap of 65,000. Sorry, you can't make more than 65,000 as a total household income gross. If you make under that amount, then you may qualify for the senior freeze. You must also have owned and occupied that property for 2 consecutive January 1s. That means January 1st of 2019 and January 1st of 2020. The next one is persons with disability. Our office has zero authority on telling anyone they're disabled or not. We're not in that business. So what we do is we give you an application. You take that application to your doctor fills it out, you give it back to us, bada bing, bada boom, you get the exemption as long as you qualify and meet all the requirements. The next one is returning veterans. This one is for any veteran returning from active duty for the year they return and for 1 year after. So it's a 2-year exemption. The next exemption is my favorite exemption. It's the veteran with disabilities exemption. This is for any veteran that has a service-connected disability. Your eligibility rate must be at least 30%. So if you have 30 to 49%, you get X removed or deducted from your tax bill. If you are 50 to 69%, you get X removed off of your tax bill. And if you are 70 to 100%, you don't have to pay property taxes at all unless your home is worth more than $800,000. It's a little bit more than that, but we're going to keep that as a round number. Next is the long-time exemption. That's for anyone who owned and occupied their property for 10 consecutive years, does not make more than $100,000 as a total household income, and your equalized assessed value. So not your tax bill, not the value of your home, but your EAV. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second so you can do the math yourself if you want to see if you qualify. Now, our office automatically sends these applications out to folks who qualify for this exemption. So if you did not receive this application in the mail, then you probably don't qualify. I would love to sit up here and say we get it right 100% of the time, but that is not true. So if you feel you qualify, I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. The last one is the home improvement exemption. This one you don't have to apply for at all. Once you pull a permit to do construction, which gives improvements to your property, our office will receive that information. Any improvements up to $75,000 that increase, instead of it being added to your property value, it'll be frozen for 4 years. Anything above that 75, whatever the remaining is, you are responsible for. This is what your tax bill looks like. Now, earlier we talked about the tax rate, local township tax rate, and the tax levies, and the EAV. I'm going to explain all that right now. So when our office says the tax levies in your area, that's what this is. This giant yellow box right here. These are the different school districts, police departments, fire departments, park districts, mosquito abatement, water reclamation. Literally everything's itemized here to the penny. This is where your dollars go. And then if you're interested about the local township tax rate, that number is right here. Local township tax rate, except this is a sample bill. So yours would say 2020 when you get it. Now, for the long time, we talked about the EAV, the equalized assessed value. That's this number here, the 2020 equalized assessed value. That number must have increased significantly over 10 years in order for your property to qualify for the long time. Now, the part that's important, you see this red highlighted area? That is where your discounts, exemptions will be written out and highlighted, right? Labeled out. Homeowner exemption, senior citizen exemption, senior freeze, returning veteran, disabled persons, all of those will be listed there. However, or except the long time exemption. The long time exemption will be listed under where it says important messages. I just wanted to let you know. I don't know why the Treasurer's Office does it that way. They just choose to do so. Now, some good news for anyone who applied for exemptions last year, like the homeowner, the senior freeze, all of those were automatic this year. How do you know that? How can you check? Multiple ways. You can contact our office, but I would encourage everyone right now to either write this website down. I know it's in the comment section right now, and it's also on the screen, so you can take a picture, you can screenshot it, whatever you want. But this is the Cook County portal. Here you can see payment history on tax bills, exemption history, delinquent bills, appeals. All of the information you'll need is here. We do want to let everybody know, we keep getting emails about exemptions. Hey, I didn't file for it, or hey, I forgot, what can I do? I'm trying to click on the button, but it's not working. That's because the deadline was April 9th. So now you have to wait until your tax bill is mailed out so that you can apply for what's called a certificate of error. A certificate of error is a way for us as an office to go back and recoup exemptions or reapply for exemptions that you may not have applied for in the past. As of this moment right now, we can go to 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Guys, when I'm not doing these presentations, this is what I'm doing. And people get back thousands of dollars. There are so many homeowners that have no idea they're not receiving their exemptions. We do this every day. If you're trying to figure out if you've received all of your exemptions, it's easy to do. Just DM us, or the link is in our comment section, and it'll be across the screen in a second, for you to contact our office. All we need is your PIN number, address, and phone number, and then we can go ahead and contact you back. Earlier, the assessor was talking about a reassessment notice. That's what this is on the left-hand side. It's gray, white, and black. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. There's no way to calculate a tax bill from this. There's no way to guesstimate a tax bill from this. This is just what our office believes your property is worth. On the right-hand side, again, that is a tax bill. So those are the differences. You get 2 tax bills a year. The first one is blue and has 0 exemptions on it. The second one is yellow and has all of your exemptions on it. Now, your deadline is August 23rd. But what if you're watching this and you're not from West Township? You're from a different township. Well, this is where you would go to see when your township is open for appeals. I'm going to leave this up for a second. It's the cookcountyassessor.com/assessment calendar and deadlines with hash marks or hyphens in between them all. This is where you would go to see the list of townships and when the deadlines are. I would encourage everybody to do this. It was just dropped in the comments section. So please take advantage of this. We also understand that you might be the type of taxpayer that wants to provide our office with comparable properties. If that's you, then you definitely want to take advantage of this link as well. CookCountyAssessor.com. What are comparable properties? I'm going to leave this on the screen so you guys can screenshot it or write it down, however you want to do it. Again, you don't need to provide our office with comparables. Our office is going to do that for you. That is someone's 9 to 5. But again, if that's what you want to do, then you can definitely do that. Now, this is what your appeal would look like. I'm going to walk you through it. Guys, this is going to be so easy, I swear. So each tab is its own area, right? And each tab has its own set of questions. All you have to do is fill in the information. It's all information you already have. Nothing special, nothing crazy, nothing from left field. But we do want to draw attention to 2 areas. Additional pins. Additional pins is only for taxpayers that have a prorated property. That means you have one property with multiple PIN numbers. If that is you, this is where you would add your secondary PIN number or your third PIN number, depending on how your property is broken up. This is not where you would upload pictures, appraisals, anything like that. You would do that under attachments. Attachments is where you would put your appraisal, your sales analysis, your plat survey, any pictures, a narrative, anything you want to provide to our office. I would just encourage you to be mindful of what you're uploading and where, because some of these, as you see, the limit, the upload size, the maximum size is 25 megabytes, 10 megabytes, 5 megabytes. So just be aware of that. Our office is open. You can come in and visit us, but you don't have to. You don't have to wait in line. You can make an appointment with our office. It makes no sense to come all the way downtown, especially if you're taking public transportation, to get on all those buses and trains and then wait. You can make an appointment with our office. It is super easy. You would just go to cookcountyassessor.com. Our phone number is 312-443-7550. We are socially active, so please follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We are everywhere. This is how this information gets spread out, guys. We need everyone here, everyone watching, everyone in the comments, everyone streaming to be a good neighbor. Share this information with your neighbors, especially those of us who have older neighbors who may not have a Facebook, may not have a smartphone or a tablet or whatever. Share this information. This is all we ask, guys. We want everyone to be as educated as possible. Knowledge is power, and we just want everyone to be mindful of what we're doing here, as transparent as possible. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're going to jump into the Q&As. I see a couple people in here already. How you doing, Maura? All right. So let's Owens Media says, what are the requirements for the senior freeze? Thank you very much. The requirements are simple. You must have owned and occupied the property for 2 consecutive January 1s. So if we're talking about the bill that the treasurer is about to release, that means you owned and occupied your property January 1 of 2019 and January 1 of 2020. You were born in 1955 or before, and your total household income gross is less than $65,000. That's important. People need to know that they don't have to pay. Absolutely, guys. Okay, real quick, because I know that we're strapped for time. I one time had an event. There was a gentleman in a nice little suit sitting in the corner. He charged $75 to file people's appeals. He had about 100 and something appeals on his lap. You do the math. That's how much that guy was charging. We do this for free, guys. You have every right to do whatever you want. No one can tell you how to spend your money. However, we do this for free. There is no fee involved.
Mm-hmm. And you don't even have to find your own comps. We look at it in several different ways. So really, it only takes a few minutes if you think we didn't get the value right for your house.
Absolutely. What's next? Mora Kaneki says,
I know that, Maura.
I miss you, Mora.
I almost feel like it's a trick question because she knows we're not the treasurer.
She's just asking the kind of questions other people may not know they should be asking.
There we go.
But the treasurer's office is responsible for mailing out the tax bills. That's not something the assessor's office does.
As we understand, they will be mailed in about a week's time. They will post electronically the bills that you can see, I think, in the next few days.
Probably by Friday or Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The comparable feature is cool. Thank you.
Hey, good to hear. We love to get feedback like this, and you don't have to only tell us when stuff is cool. If it's bad or if it's not working, we also want to know so we can fix it. But thank you for letting us know, Owens.
All right, Ms. T says, if I purchased my home March of 2021, when should I expect my first tax bill? So your first, interesting question. Okay, so this question has two answers depending on what happened at your closing. Now, we have no idea what happened at your closing. So assuming that you are responsible for your own taxes going forward, that you should get the tax bill that's coming out, when did you say, boss, in a couple weeks?
Yeah, well, the electronically it should be posted in the next couple of days. You should get it in your mailbox. I mean, Postal Service permitting, in the next, at least, within the next couple of weeks, for sure.
For sure. Now, at your closing, if your guys' attorneys worked it out that the previous owner was responsible for the tax bill, again, that has nothing to do with us, then you won't see a tax bill until next summer. But I would just double check with your closing attorneys. Flawed. I've been living in my property for more than 20 years, and I haven't received any exemptions.
We can help you out, for.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to copy. I'm going to try. I tried this yesterday. It didn't work. It won't work again. Okay. If you go in the comments section, I don't know why it's not letting me copy and paste. You can click on the link that says cookcountyassessor.com/contact. There it is right there. You can send us an email directly with your name, PIN number, and address, and we will check this for you. Absolutely.
Flora, you're going to have some money. You're going to have some money coming your way in several different ways. So if that's your main residence, and you don't have a homeowner's exemption on any other home, which you probably wouldn't have, you can not only get the homeowner's exemption put on your house for next year, but you can also be refunded for the last 3 years when you didn't have that exemption on, and
absolutely
be treated as if you did have it on. You'll get checks to refund you the amount that you overpaid. And if you're a senior citizen, you may be eligible for even the senior exemption or other exemptions. So please do contact us, because there could be a lot of money coming your way. Or if you know others who are in the same situation, and there are lots of people in this situation, only about 70% of homeowners have the homeowner's exemption. So there are a lot of others who could have it but don't have it on, and could have some money being refunded to them and have the exemption put on for all their future bills. So we can help you out here. Make sure you reach out to us for it.
Dean says, when will Orland Township be open for appeals this year? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. And let me find the slide very quickly. So, Dean, this is the link you want to go to. cookcountyassessor.com/assessment calendar and deadlines with hash marks in between the words. This is where you want to go. This will have your township listed. Now, if there is no date available there, that means it is not open yet. So you just have to keep checking this website.
And what I recommend you do is, if you live in Orland or in any suburb, you have a township assessor who is there as your advocate and a person who can provide services for you. You have a great township assessor in Orland, in Assessor Kelly. And I would reach out to the township assessor's office to just check in and see when they think it will be, when it will open for appeals, and then you can do it. Now, it's not a reassessment year in the south suburbs where Orland is. So usually there's not much grounds for an appeal unless there's been some major change in condition or circumstances for your home in Orland. But you are, of course, welcome to appeal. You have a right to do that within the window when it's open. And you can do the same thing at the Cook County Board of Review, which will have a different series of deadlines.
For sure. Any other questions? Spencer says, I'm interested in buying a house in Chicago and want to understand more. What should I know from your office before I purchase? Any good tips?
Well, Spencer, I'm going to give this a whirl, and then Hector is going to tag team with me because I might have forgotten about something. I think the first thing you should check is to see the current resident that owns the house. Did they have some exemptions on it that you would not qualify for? Because there may be a different tax bill involved after you buy it than the current owner might benefit from. For example, if the current owner is a senior who had a senior freeze on it, their assessment may be frozen, and that may depress their tax bill quite significantly. So you should look at what the average tax rate is effective tax rate is overall in Chicago to get a reasonable sense of what it could be if you don't have any special exemptions coming your way. In a lot of the investment world, you don't want the tax tail to wag the whole dog. So, we don't want to give you investment advice, but I think you should just, look at the property and make sure that there are other things that you feel comfortable with as any investor would. But on the tax side, the good thing about Chicago is that the rate will not move around significantly. We have a very big tax base here in Chicago. And so you just want to make sure that whatever tax that home has been paying wouldn't be distorted by some exemptions on it. And Hector, you want to tell them how you can check that?
Yeah, you definitely can do it multiple different ways. You can contact our office. You can send us a DM. You can inbox us. The link to contact us directly is in the comment section. You can also go to cookcountypropertyinfo.com. There are multiple different ways. I want to add to what you were saying, boss. You want to make sure there aren't any liens on this property before you buy it, especially if you're buying it hand to hand. You're buying it from somebody without using attorneys. That's definitely important. You also want to make sure you understand who's responsible for the next property tax bill. When I bought my home, they tried to finesse me, and thank God I worked here and I knew exactly what to ask and what not to do. So you definitely want to do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Don't try to sneak one by Hector, y'all.
Can't do it. I'm built different.
So you're all lucky that we have Hector here to help you give you good advice.
Floyd, no problem. When will the second installment come out? It'll be posted digitally online sometime at the end of this week, probably, right, boss?
Right, and remember, it's the treasurer that does this. It's not the assessor's office. So the treasurer will have the best information on this, but you will certainly be able to pull it off of their website before you receive it in the mail. And I think if you keep on checking the Cook County Treasurer's website, I have a feeling they will put up in a big banner when you can check your tax bills up there. So that's the best place that you can get the jump on it.
CookCountyTreasurer.com, ladies
There
and
we
gentlemen.
go.
That's where you want to go. Luis says, can you put the email for exceptions? Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it's not an email address. It's actually how you contact our office. It's Cook County Assessor, or you can go there too, cookcountyassessor.com/exemptions. But if you want us to check it, you can contact us as well.
Yeah. So if you don't have a computer at home, I mean, all of you are presumably watching this on a computer. You can always call us too.
Any other questions? Thank you. You're very welcome. Let's stump Hector. Come on, guys.
You can't sneak one past Hector, guys. You can't pull one over on him. It's going to be pretty tough.
Absolutely. Don't pay for appeals. You can do it yourself. Absolutely. I learned that from Schoolhouse Rocks. Knowledge is power. And Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Let's see. I think that's it.
Well, hey, everybody, thanks for sticking around. You guys are great. You can become a frequent flyer and join our other workshops if you want to learn more. It's our pleasure to serve you. We have a really great staff. We want to hear from you. Whether you think we're doing a good job or a bad job, let us know. We're happy to be here for Alderman Cardenas and all of you, his constituents. And come back and check with us. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other social media and Twitter. You can stay current on all the information here and know when other workshops like this are coming up. Hector, take it away.
Absolutely. We want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Assessor Kaedi. Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, everyone here who's watching us. You literally could be doing anything else, guys, but you're spending time with us. So thank you. Be wise, be safe, take care of each other, be a great neighbor. Share this with someone you think can gain some information from this. Everybody have a great weekend, assuming we don't have another one of these coming up. And that's it, man. You guys have a great night.
Okay, bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.